Followers are the lifeblood of Skyrim's world. They make the frozen wilderness feel less lonely, lend a blade in battle, and remind the Dragonborn that even heroes need allies. From Lydia's stoic loyalty to Serana's tragic charm, followers in the Elder Scrolls Skyrim are more than simple companions. They're pieces of narrative identity scattered across the land. Yet, not all followers share in that attention. Some are adored by players, immortalized in memes, stories, and mods. Others, however, fade into obscurity, forgotten not because they lack worth, but because the game itself hides them away, burying their stories beneath the noise of dragons and destiny. Among these unsung names stands one of Skyrim's most tragic and overlooked characters, Rogi Knotbeard, the Nord miner of Kynes Grove. He is a man defined by humility, loyalty, and quiet endurance. And for that very reason, almost no one remembers him. To find Rogi Knotbeard, one must first find Kynes Grove, a small mining village just south of Windhelm, tucked between jagged cliffs and thick pine woods. It's the kind of place most players pass through once, perhaps on their way to fight the dragon during the Way of the Voice. The dragon's resurrection overshadows everything, even the people who live there. Rogi can be found in the Braidwood Inn, usually drinking or sharing stories with the locals. He's a miner by trade, though his family's history runs deep with adventure and pride. He tells the player that his ancestors were warriors and explorers, and that his family heirloom, a treasured ancestral shield, has been lost to time. That simple backstory becomes his defining feature, his personal quest. Rogi's ancestral shield sends a player to recover it from one of several possible Radiant dungeons. It's a small, unassuming favour, a far cry from the epic battles or Daedric bargains that define other quests. But that's the tragedy of Rogi Knotbeard. His story is simple, human, and entirely overshadowed. Skyrim's world doesn't pause for men like him. Unlike Serana, Farkas, or Ayla, Rogi has no scripted battles, no grand introduction, and no unique combat dialogue. He doesn't tie into a faction or carry mortal weight. When his quest is complete, he becomes available as a follower, but few players even realise it. Part of the reason lies in his placement. Kynes Grove is small, with no quests leading the player to speak with its residents beyond brief encounters. Rogi himself is never essential to any main questline, unless you explore and talk to him by chance. You'll likely never even know he exists. And even if you do recruit him, his combat abilities are modest. He is a warrior, yes, but one of middling skill, without special perks or remarkable dialogue. In a world filled with vampires, mercenaries, and werewolves, a simple miner fades quickly into the background. But what makes Rogi truly forgotten isn't his statistics, it's his humanity. Skyrim's world celebrates grand heroics and dark magic. It rarely celebrates the ordinary man who wakes up, works, and drinks to forget how small his life has become. Rogi Knotbeard embodies that ordinariness so perfectly that he vanishes into it. Kynes Grove itself, it is a settlement that exists in the margins. Not quite a village, not quite a ruin. Its people are miners eking out a living beneath the shadow of dragon-haunted mountains. Rogi represents the working class of Skyrim, the ones who dig, build, and survive while heroes chase prophecy. He is a reflection of the lives the Dragonborn passes without noticing. When you speak to him, there's a warmth in his tone, a rough honesty that contrasts sharply with the arrogance of nobles or mercenaries. He doesn't want power, he doesn't seek vengeance. All he wants is to reclaim his family's honour, symbolised in a shield lost long ago. That quest, modest as it seems, says everything about him. He doesn't dream of slaying dragons or ruling kingdoms. He dreams of remembering who his people were, and in doing so, he exposes one of Skyrim's quietest truths, that history forgets those who never sought to shape it. The tragedy of him isn't just narrative, it's mechanical. Skyrim's design ensures his obscurity. He has no unique voice actor. His quest lacks journal depth, or branching choices. His follower mechanics are identical to countless others. He doesn't tie into Radiant events, doesn't attend gatherings, and doesn't appear in factional politics. And yet, the lack of distinction is the point. Rogi represents the countless Nords, miners, farmers, and soldiers who populate Skyrim's world but never make its history books. He is the statistical average given form. That's why most players never recruit him, not because he is unworthy, but because the game itself whispers that he isn't important. And in that silence, the player learns something profound about Skyrim's world. Importance is not the same as worth. Rogi's Ancestral Shield quest, though simple, is surprisingly vast when examined closely. He asks the Dragonborn to retrieve a piece of his family's past, lost in some forgotten dungeon. There's something deeply symbolic about this quest. A man buried in obscurity sends the player into another forgotten place to recover a relic of a forgotten line. Every step of that journey is an act of remembrance, one that only the player can complete. And yet, once the shield is recovered, the quest ends quietly. Rogi thanks you, offers his friendship, and if asked, will follow you into battle. There are no fanfares, no grand rewards, no future dialogue about his restored pride. It's hauntingly human in its smallness. In a world where every quest seems to serve destiny, this one serves only memory. And that, paradoxically, is what makes it unforgettable, even as most forget it exists. To understand Rogi's obscurity, one must contrast him with Skyrim's more famous followers. Lydia, the House Carl of Whiterun, becomes iconic because she's scripted into the main quest. Serana from the Dawnguard DLC offers complex backstories and moral tension. Cicero, the Mad Jester, combines humour and darkness. Rogi, however, offers no drama. He is not a symbol of tragedy or power, merely of persistence. His strength lies not in magic or madness, but in work. In many ways, he is the anti-Serana. Where she is ancient and cursed, he is mortal and ordinary. Where she struggles with immortality, he struggles with legacy. Where others seek redemption or revenge, Rogi seeks recognition. It is precisely because he lacks spectacle that he is forgotten. And yet, that's what makes him seem uniquely real. This obscurity mirrors the social hierarchy of Skyrim itself. The Nords worship warriors and despise weakness. They remember heroes, not miners. They sing songs of his grandma, not of those who dug the stone his fortress was built on. Kynes Grove's miners live under this shadow of cultural neglect. They risk their lives daily, but they are seen as expendable, the silent backbone of the province's wealth and infrastructure. Rogi's lost shield becomes more than a personal heirloom. It's a symbol of the working class forgotten by history. His ancestors were warriors, but now he toils underground. His family's glory has been reduced to labour. His story, like his village, is buried. In that sense, his obscurity is not accidental, it's thematic. Rogi Knotbeard is the embodiment of Skyrim's forgotten backbone. When all is said and done, Rogi Knotbeard stands as the clearest example of one of the most forgotten and neglected followers in all of Skyrim, not because he is poorly written or designed, but because he represents something profoundly human, the inevitability of being overlooked. His life continues whether you notice him or not. His quest can be ignored forever, and his story will never change. He doesn't shape the world, but the world shapes him, and in doing so reveals how fragile identity can be in a land built on legend. Rogi Knotbeard is a mirror held up to the player. He asks nothing of you but remembrance. And in a world defined by power, that is a request far too humble for most heroes to hear. When the wind howls through Kynes Grove and the Dragonborn rides past without stopping, Rogi Knotbeard remains, a flickering candle in a frozen world. He doesn't know he's been forgotten. He keeps drinking, working, and telling stories of ancestors no one else remembers. And maybe that's why he lingers in the hearts of those few who do notice him. Because in the end, The measure of a person isn't fame or strength or glory. It's whether their story still matters to someone, even one traveller passing through the snow. His tale is small, but it's real, and in that quiet, human truth lies the essence of Skyrim itself. He may be one of the most forgotten followers in Skyrim, but for those who remember him, he becomes something far greater, a reminder that even the smallest lives leave echoes in the cold.